Good evening, good evening,
Good
good evening,
evening
everybody. Welcome to Marital Motivation with
with
the
the
Mackies.
Mackies.
It's another night of marital motivations.
Whoop,
Whoop,
whoop.
whoop. We just want to give everybody a moment and some time to log in. We ask that you would please like the page, whether you like us on Instagram, or if you like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube. It's the same name, Marital Motivations with the Mackies. All right, but we want to just get a little conversation just to talk about dating today. Um, Again, please share. I look forward to this interaction. Um, some people say hopeless romantic, but I am a romantic. I love Valentine's Day. Am I romantic?
You are very
Okay,
romantic.
because you were supposed to
Probably
just
more than me.
okay.
I'm sorry, I was trying to share the page to make sure we were good to go. A little tad bit distracted.
It's all right, baby. It's all right.
Eh.
So, but no, we want to talk about dating and marriage. It's just in time for Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is next week. Ladies, gentlemen, I hope y'all have already planned your days, your date, whatever it is that you're going to do. I hope and pray that you did not wait to the last minute. But I'm sure somebody's like, ooh, Valentine's Day is next week.
When is it?
Next week.
Oh.
Now,
Well, one good thing about it, you don't have to celebrate Valentine's Day on Valentine's Day,
true
but
that.
just make sure it's not an afterthought.
True that.
Okay.
Cannot be an afterthought. So let's go ahead and just dive on into it today, babe. So again, we wanted to talk about dating in marriage and why dating in marriage is so important and how you must continuously date. I got a little tongue tied there. Continuously date while you're in a marriage. It's not just dating in the beginning before you get married,
Yeah,
but you got to date in your marriage. So
absolutely.
I'll turn it over to you, babe. Why do you think dating and marriage is so important?
Well, I'll explain that why I think it's important by actually starting talking about what's the purpose of dating,
Okay.
before you get married. So typically, before you get married, what we do is we go out on these dates and you put your best foot forward. You're trying to get to know each other. You're engaging with each other. You're spending time together, which is a sign of showing that you really do care about each other, things like that. So, if you do all of those things before you get married, what makes us think that we don't have to continue to do those things after we get married?
Absolutely.
Once you get married, we still want to be engaged. It's almost like while you're dating, it's the cat and mouse game. And women, we still want to be pursued even after you catch us.
Okay.
We still want to be pursued. Also, who wants a stale, boring marriage? That's the same thing day in and day out. You're always doing the same thing. Get up, go to work, come home, cook dinner, go to bed, get up, go, and just have that just stale routine. But when you're dating, it gives you something to look forward to. Where are we going to go? What are we going to do? Have some fun,
Yeah.
just kind of keep the marriage hype,
Yeah.
So,
not just hype, but hot and heavy.
Oh, hey. So I'm going to bounce a question over to you, though. What do you think happens when we do stop dating in marriages?
That's very easy. What I feel and what I know is, when you stop dating in the marriage, you lose the intimacy. It becomes that much harder to be intimate. It becomes that much harder to connect. And so then what happens is you do what? The opposite, you disconnect. So the less you date within your marriage, the further and further and further away you get from one another, and you don't even realize it. One of my analogies I use all the time when I'm talking to people is it's like ivy. You don't really see it growing. You don't see the separation. You don't see the ivy growing up the side of the house, but then after 2 years, you're like, oh, the whole side of the house is covered.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in a marriage. If you don't date, you don't realize that you're getting further and further apart. And then all of a sudden you turn around and you're like, who is this person? So definitely, you lose the connectivity. you lose the connection. Intimacy becomes that much harder, and you end up not knowing the person you're married to. Because like you said, we all evolve.
Yeah.
I'm not the same person that you married 20 plus years ago. It will be 25 years in March.
Woo, woo.
But I'm not the same person that you married 25 years
not
ago.
at all. You were my PYT back then.
Hey, I'm still your PYT.
No, you're my POT.
But you know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm different, you're different.
Absolutely.
And if we don't date, if we don't take the time to connect with one another and learn one another consistently, then it just doesn't work.
Yeah, absolutely. Because as changes take place in the relationship, you know, just can I get that out? Just as an individual,
okay.
You know, we change, like you said, we grow. And so the only way you're gonna know still who I am and I know who you are is by us spending time together, talking. And I guess that's another thing we really could talk about too, is some do's and don'ts.
Okay. Absolutely. We can get into some do's and don'ts.
Take my glasses off with that. But let me put this out there first of all. Say this. David, your parents said to me when we first got married, I think when we got married, they were over 20, probably close to 25 years in marriage when we got married.
Okay.
And so I remember talking to your mom, and I remember thinking like, wow, 25 years is a long time. Like, that seems so far stretched for me in the time.
Yeah.
And my question with that was, you know, what do you do? How do you keep your marriage exciting and all of that? And that's what she said to me. She said, when you first get married, the hardest part of your marriage is to get to know each other. You're learning each other. But after you've been married for an extended period of time, you know the person, even though there are little changes, the core of the person does not change. Mm-hmm. So at that point, though, she said, now the hardest part of the marriage is keeping it exciting.
Yeah. And I can see that. It just amazes me that back then we thought 25 years was so far.
Oh my goodness.
So long. And we're pushing that in a few months. No, in a few weeks, excuse me.
Right.
In a few weeks.
Right.
You know, we're pushing 25 years. And it's just like, hey, I never thought I'd be married, you know, and to be married to you is just, it's wonderful.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I feel the same way. I always knew I would be married. I always knew I would be happily married. And I knew that whoever I was with, they were getting a diamond and we would be together forever.
Yeah, I got my jewels. I got my diamond. I got my Proverbs 31. Hey.
So with that said, though, let's talk about some do's and don'ts when you're going out on a date. Because I kind of personally, one of my biggest things, I just think that this is a big don't when you're out on a date. You just can't sit and be just caught up on your phone the whole time. I'm just saying.
And I know that's her number one because I am guilty. I'm guilty with my job. I'm so hands-on and they have access to me and they will send me a question even if I'm off. And I'm just like, pull my phone out or I look at my watch and I'm like, and then I'm back. But that's still taking time away from you.
Yeah. And I'm understanding because I do understand the type of job that you have. I understand that your role and that you do have to be hands-on. So I'm okay with a little quick do. But I'm talking about when we go out and we see people sitting at a table near us or across from us. And I'm like, oh yeah, we people watch.
Yes, we are people watchers. Yes,
so when we go out, we people watch. And so
it's a fun game.
It really is.
That's a date in itself.
Oh my goodness, it is. So we'll sit and I'll say, you see that couple right there at table, whatever, with the table. Okay, yeah, they've been married for about 10 years and they don't have any children. And you could we observe, because you would be amazed at how many people would sit at a table and there is no conversation between the people at the table. I'm like, text them, then maybe they'll hear you, you know, because there is no conversation. That is another big no. sit there and engage
Absolutely.
with
You
each
got to
other.
engage.
You have to talk. And one thing I love that David and I do sometimes, instead of sitting across from each other, we sit next to each other.
Mm-hmm. I
That
think
way.
that's a wonderful do, sitting next to each other. But I want to get back to the people watching real
Okay,
quick.
I'm sorry. Go on.
Like I said, that can be a date in itself. So when we first got married, this was back in the day where you could just walk in the airport and be in the airport for whatever. So
Didn't have to go through the security.
didn't have to go to security, whatever. But like if somebody was taking a flight and we were dropping them off, we'd walk them to the gate, and we would just sit and watch people walk by, and we're like, "Yep, they're going on a business trip, or they've been married, and nope, that one running in whatever, they're going to meet their kids, or and it's a fun game. Never anything mean or derogatory, but we just always wanted to make it fun, and it's just something to do.
You can tell who's always late.
Oh, you see them running like OJ through the airport, boy. But anyway, but sitting next to one another, that's awesome. You can sit across from each other. That makes you engage. It should. You get eye contact. You can really see the person's face. You can look into their eyes, and you're looking to the soul of the person that you love. But you have, like she said, you have to be engaged. If you're on your phone, I've seen people, both of them on their phones the whole time, no conversation. Yeah. Or when you sit side by side, you get to snuggle up.
I get to touch you. I'm touchy feely.
She is, but she is very touchy feely. I'm not going there. But anyway, so that's another do. I think a don't. I'm trying to think of a don't that I would put on the list would be, don't make it an afterthought, like you kind of mentioned before. If you plan, all right, I'm gonna give a do and a don't. Do plan it out. Meaning, if you have to put it on your calendar. I know when we first got married, our anniversary is March 7th. So the 7th of every month, that was date day. So
regardless, come what may.
If we ain't do nothing but have a picnic on the balcony, because we couldn't afford to do nothing else. You know what I'm saying? But no, come what may. That was the date. You have to plan it, because like you said, honey, it gives you something to look forward to, that excitement. Absolutely. So that's a good. And then the don't would be, don't make it an afterthought. Don't be like, oh yeah, because.
But did you make reservations?
Oh yeah. Did you rent a car? Oh yeah.
Did you find out if they were open today?
Oh, dog, man, they ain't open. They don't open till 6 o'clock, and you dressed and ready to walk out the door at 4, and it's like, what you gonna do now? But be intentional. Be intentional. I know as a man, I want to plan everything out when it comes to dates. I'll say not as a man, just as me, as an individual. I like my dates somewhat planned. I leave room from spontaneity because I am also a kind of free-flowing person, but I like to pick at least two things on the date that we're definitely going to do. And then I'll leave the rest open. But I'm making reservations. I'm making sure I know what time they open. I'm checking the traffic beforehand, how many minutes it takes to get there, how many miles, blah, blah, blah. What's the distance from point A to point B, so that I can navigate it and you don't have downtime or you don't have hiccups. So definitely planning your date out.
Yeah, you don't have to be quite that extreme. But, but I guess when I think too of that, be kind and pick up flowers, but you can't. Okay, for instance, we know Valentine's Day is coming up. So therefore we know, like, if you're going to get, your white flowers, don't get the scraggly leftovers and go pick them up, or pick up a card at 6:15 Valentine's night. And you got the leftover, it's coming. Go get the card this week. You can't get the flowers this week, but go get the card this week. Don't let it be an afterthought. Like, oh yeah, like you didn't know the day was coming.
Little asterisks on the flowers for Valentine's Day. I used to deliver flowers. Yeah. Don't deliver flowers on Valentine's Day. Get them the day before. Let me tell you what happens. This is what happens. You have these pools. And so all the flower shops, they go and they meet together, and they're like, okay, you take this side of town, you take this side of town. I remember I was delivering flowers. This man put in his work address instead of his home address. I'm in the rain, in a storm. By the time I got up to his office, He's looking at me like, why are you here? And I'm like, because that's the address on here now. Meanwhile, because it's storming, petals missing off the roses, everything. So I'm just saying, that's not always the best idea because you got to deal with the elements and different things like that. But I'm not saying don't order them, but for the people that deliver them flowers, I feel you.
Okay, I'm just gonna say you really did sidetrack on that. Like
I
that
did.
was traumatic for you.
It was. You don't. I was in the car for hours, and then people are upset because you're not on time, and there's so many.
It's
never
okay.
again.
It's okay.
Ooh.
It's okay.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. Go ahead, babe. Go ahead.
So another thing I'll say: be creative with your dates. Oh my goodness, I'm just trying to think of some of the fun things that we've done, creative things. And you know, they have those little paint and sip places you can go. And I was terrified to go the first time. Okay, in case y'all don't know, David is an artist. David is an awesome artist. He draws, he paints, he does all of that. He's very creative. And my creativity comes through my voice. It does not come through my hands. And so with that, when we first were talking about going and doing the paint plays, I was just like, yeah, let's go. I was not thrilled, but I will say, thank God for my husband, because he has taught me to think out of the box. You know, I am one of those straight line people, you know, a lot of times with things, but you've taught me to think out of the box, to be willing to try new things and stuff like that. And we went, and when we went to go do this painting, I was amazed at how awesome my picture looked.
You did great.
Now, granted, David did not follow the instructions of what they gave him to do. And so to the point that the lady who was teaching the class was like, oh, well, maybe you should come up and teach it, because his painting looked like he was getting ready to go sell it at an art gallery. But my picture looked like hers. And I was so proud of myself. So go do those little sip and paint places. That is really fun.
We made candles once.
Oh, yeah.
We were out of town doing something.
Mine still smells good. It's in my office.
Mine still smells good. It's downstairs. But no, but yeah, candle making, you know, anything. One thing I'll say is we posted a post a while back, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, where it said, don't let your differences be a wedge. Don't let your differences separate you, but let your differences bring you together. And we got a lot of responses on that post, but it even goes with your dating. I'm an artist. I love creative things. She was not, but she was open to it. Another thing, I don't want to make it seem like it's just all me, but I grew up in a military household, so I've lived in different countries. I've lived over the, you know, all over the world.
I'm a Georgia peach.
She's a Georgia peach.
Right throughout my life.
So all she ever ate was Southern food and Mexican.
That wasn't quite all. Those were my favorites.
Southern food and Mexican.
Wasn't all. Those were just my
Southern
favorites.
food and Mexican.
My favorites were.
But with us being in a relationship, she would try new things. Now she'll pretty much, I won't say you'll try anything, but you'll give it a go.
I'll pretty much almost everything. At least I'll try it. At least I can say I've had it. But I mean, I'm not gonna go to a restaurant and order ostrich.
Hey, I'll try anything one time. But you know, but it just but my thing is, if you let your differences, it opens up your horizons. And it broadens your views on so many different things, even in your relationship. So, you know, I'm a very eclectic eater, you know, so it makes you try new things. And then that opens us up to different kinds of dates and new experiences together, you know. So it's like, I'm not afraid to just try something new, you know. So you need to do that when you're dating. Try something new, be creative.
Yeah, even things you may not even think that you would enjoy.
You
would be surprised. I mean, I've done some things that I'm just like, I'm doing this for my husband.
And the number one would be, we went to a rage room. You know, that's where you smash stuff. And I was a little disappointed because they didn't have a variety of stuff. But you know, sometimes you just need to get that aggression out. You know, people be like, oh, you got to pray and meditate. Sometimes you just need to yell it out. Sometimes you need to break stuff, and it's in a controlled environment. But I had fun. She just went because I wanted to go, you know, but it was a good date. You know, we've done all the other things like the candle making. We've done, you can do glass blowing, you can do a picnic, you know, one of,
Oh,
go ahead.
so I was going to
Go
share
ahead.
this. I can think back, like even when the children were little,
Mm-hmm.
and I was a stay-at-home mom, and David was the only one working. So there were often times that finances were pretty tight. And that was during our time we were doing the date night once a month. And so it was like, okay, we don't have the money to do it this month. What are we going to do? And so we had to get creative with it. So we would, okay, I'm very structured, as I said before. So I would make sure that the children were fed, bathed, and in the bed. Where Zion used to say that the sun would still be up. Don't know quite it was that
It
quite
wasn't
that early,
It wasn't that
but
early.
would go on and get them in the bed and have them settled for the night, so that then once they were down, then I would have dinner with David, and I would have a nice candlelight dinner, you know, at the house. I would still cook and make sure it was something that I knew he loved, you know, make sure that it was incorporated in the meal. We would plan picnics, and we would do it in the living room. I'm not an outdoors person. So we would have our picnics in the living room, where we would just put a blanket down and, you know, still just have our little finger foods or whatever. Is not so much what you do, it's just simply the fact that you do it.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's really important. I think for a lot of men, sometimes if we can't be extravagant or if we can't get all the pieces together, sometimes we just like, I ain't doing nothing then, you know, and that's counterproductive.
Exactly.
You know, it really is. So if you plan, don't get caught up in the, it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be extravagant. It can be something simple, you know.
Go for a walk in the park.
Yeah. Now, if you follow us, you know we literally just went on a walk yesterday in the park, and we you know we walk in, everything's cool. We take a couple pictures, and we're walking back to the car, and there's literally this sign that says "Beware of snakes." This woman started walking so fast.
That was because I was trying to get up the hill. Don't play. I was already thinking it before I saw the sign. The park is beautiful. It's a lot of trees, but it's also a lot of water. Like it's the stream that goes through and all of that. So what else is going to be out there but wild animals and snakes? I was already thinking it. So I was like, okay, we can't do nature trails, you know, but we gonna walk, you know, it's still winter time. So I'm just assuming that the snakes are still sleeping. But
yeah, walk in the park. A walk in the park is a great date. There are so many things that we can do as married couples, you know, stay in bed. Don't get up early on whatever day, and just stay in bed and cuddle and let things lead to whatever they lead to, you know. Absolutely. You know, my thing is you have to be intimate, you know, and you have to just take advantage of every opportunity. So a stay in bed, sleep in, that's a date, bruh.
That's a treat.
Let me tell you,
That's
you know, and especially for me, it's a treat because I don't sleep in. You know,
I don't like to wake up with the bed empty on the other side. So when those days when we're both in the bed and when I open my eyes and wake up and David is still laying there, it makes me I wake up with a smile on my face.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love you, babe. You know, but going back to some more don'ts, I think people always say that it's the thought that matters. They be lying. They be lying. Not everybody, but I'm just saying some people, because you'll say that it's the thought that matters, but then when your significant other does something and you look or you look down on it or you dismiss it, it's counterproductive. You know, so is it really the thought that matters? Did he or she take the time to try and do something that they thought was great and then you dismiss it? Trust you, for most men, you have one time, maybe two, to dismiss our efforts, and then it's what's the point? Yeah, because that's how we're wired. So if you dismiss it, it's like, well, then I'm not going to bother. Then you're upset that we don't do anything.
I got you.
And that's what happens.
But that's the key. That's why it's important to listen to each other as well, though. because if my husband was to say for my birthday, he's taking me to a rage room.
Yeah, wouldn't be good. Wouldn't be
Okay.
good.
So you have to listen to each other and make sure that you're speaking each other's languages as well, though, with that.
Yeah.
And let me throw this out there too. Ladies, take him out on a date sometimes.
Wine and dine me, please.
Unless your husband is spoiled like mine.
I'm not spoiled.
Yes, you are.
I'm not spoiled.
You are. But just think that sometimes though you pick the place. It may be something that he wants. You've heard him say he wanted to do, and so you plan the date and you all go out and have some fun. David would tell you a date for us is to sit on that sofa and watch a good football game on a Sunday. That's fun for us, but I had to didn't have to. When I was little, I wanted to spend time with my dad. And so I knew on Sundays my dad was going to be watching football game and wrestling. So what two things did I gain interest in? Football and wrestling. And I used to sit there and get on his nerves because I would always ask questions about the game because I wanted to learn it. But David was really surprised by the time when we got married that I actually knew football. Like I knew the game. I understood it. And I was like, able to make comments about it. Now, they keep changing the rules. So now I'm back to asking questions. Now, why are they doing that now? But nonetheless, that's a fun day for us.
Yes. I think before we wrap up, one of the other good dating ideas, lots of companies make them, but they're these question cards. And I forgot to grab them.
They're in the car.
Because we use them on our road trips. But I have two different sets, and it's like all kinds of questions that you can ask your spouse. And I think those are great just for the conversation. Like you said, we both grow and evolve in a relationship. And it's like, they're the simplest questions. Some of them, I remember one was, would you rather be in a plush hotel with a view of the beach or a plush hotel with a view of the mountains? And then why? And it's a simple question,
conversation pieces,
but it creates good conversation. And the next thing you know, an hour's gone by, and you've just had such in-depth conversation with your mate that you didn't have before. Absolutely. So I really encourage people to get those. You can look them up on Amazon, any kind of relationship question games, things like that. But I always think that's a good thing. That's a good thing to do. Yeah, those are fun. Good conversation really pieces
in the car.
Okay.
So, but before we go, and I'm sure by now you all have seen that we've been posting about our scavenger hunt.
Yes.
We're in the midst of, I was going to say coming up, but we're in the midst of it now. So I wanted to kind of go over the rules and the details of that because we would love for you guys to join us. But this is a married couple scavenger hunt is what we're calling it. And in the end, the winners will get the winning couple will get a $100 gift card to go out to dinner. So these are basically what the rules are. You just have to follow us on Marital Motivations with the Mackies on our Facebook or on any social media platform. Follow us. Then what we're doing every week, we're going to post some picture suggestions. And the ones that have already been posted have been like a kiss. And you get every picture is worth 10 points as long as it meets our guidelines. The guidelines, again, you have to follow us on social media, and then you have to use our hashtags. We have two hashtags. One is hashtag marital motivation with the Mac. No, it's not. It's the other way around.
It's right there at the bottom of the
screen. At the bottom of your screen
there.
Is Mackie's marital motivation. That's one. And the second one is MMM scavenger hunt. So those are our two hashtags. Put that on. You post a picture on your own social media page, not ours. You post it on your page and use those hashtags, and we'll be able to see what pictures you've posted. But like I said, there are guidelines. It has to be both you and your spouse in the picture. And then, and all of this is already on the Facebook, on our social media page. All of the instructions are on there. But once you post a picture, one of them, you get 10 points of a picture of him kissing you. Then there's another one, 10 points of you kissing him.
Mhm.
And then there's a bonus point. So another 10 points, I believe, if you have one, you all are kissing on the lips.
Yeah. It's all about having fun.
Having fun. I think another one, we have moon. If you take a picture and you have the moon in your shot, and you all, depending on where you are, you may have missed the full moon. I think the full moon was on the 5th, because those were bonus points if it was a full moon. You know, but we have little things like that we're just asking you to capture pictures of. Once you take that picture, post it on your social media page, put the hashtag on there, and then with that, you'll get points that will build up. And whoever has the most points at midnight, February the 28th, because we're going to do this thing the whole month, then that couple, like I said, will win a $100 gift card to go out to dinner.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And it's just about having fun, y'all. You know, there's a lot of negativity on social media, but I was just like, you know, we're talking about dating. It's Valentine's Day. You know, everybody's trying to be romantic. You know, not only all romantical, and not only that, we're also posting every single day. We've got a post that's 28 days of dates, and I list 2 dates, 2 different styles of dates on every post. So it's really more than 28, obviously. So it's double that. You know. Yeah. So, you know, it's just, let's have some fun with it. Let's have some fun. Post it. I challenge somebody, you know, you're doing the scavenger hunt, challenge another couple that you know to get in on the deal.
Bonus points.
Yes, it is bonus points if you tag somebody else, another couple in it, you know, but let's just have some fun.
This. Also, once tomorrow, we'll post some more picture ideas of things that you can get points for. You can still go back to week 1 and still do those pictures. Those are good throughout the entire month, and we'll keep adding to it to give you all a whole bunch of opportunities to build up those points and to win that $100 prize. I'm just gonna look at my notes real quick, make sure I got everything.
Because she's so detailed, she got to have her notes. I'm a little fly off the hip.
Well, I want to make sure everybody, but if you all have any questions about anything, hit us up on social media, or David, of course, can tell you our email address.
It's man, it cracks me up because all the M's, she just gets tongue-tied every single time. Marital Motivations with the Mackies at gmail.com.
There you go.
You can message us on Instagram. You can message us on Facebook. You can put a comment on YouTube. You can hit us up on any social media. We even got a Twitter page, but there's not much on Twitter page, but I'm working on that, y'all. Hey. You know, so many hours in a day. You know, I work a couple hours a week, you know, 50 plus. So, you know, trying to get that time when I can. But hit us up on social media. If you have any questions, please participate in the scavenger hunt. It's all about just having fun, promoting some positivity, promoting some love, you know.
Promoting unity in the marriage.
Unity in the marriage and being silly. Because being silly and
silly pig, that's one.
That's just, you know, you gotta be able to have fun together. You know, marriages ain't gonna last if you both dry. Ain't gonna work. So, you have anything else, my love?
I don't. I do want. Yes, I do.
What you got?
I want to wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day as it's coming up, and just remember, as you're receiving love, spread love. And even if you haven't received love, spread love, because you bounces back to you. You'll get it back.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Well, y'all have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful evening. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel on YouTube, like us on Facebook and Instagram and all the other social media platforms. Join in on the scavenger hunt. Let's have some fun, y'all. Y'all have a wonderful and amazing night. All right.
Thank you. Good night. We love you.
Good night.